Hi guys, Darth Deuce here with another action figure review, and today you're actually going to be taking a look at a DC Multiverse figure, which is the DC Rebirth Red Hood. I don't get too many DC Multiverse figures, I only have two other DC Multiverse figures, because for the longest time, the line of figures just wasn't that good. Mattel's go with the DC Multiverse figures wasn't the strongest. Until very recently, the last few waves of the last year have actually been pretty good, or have looked pretty good, which is funny because they're losing the license to McFarlane when they're producing their best work. But there's not much they said about it. It is kind of cool. They're gonna put out some decent figures, and we got a Red Hood figure. There's not a whole lot of Red Hood figures out there, and the ones that are out there tend to become expensive pretty quickly. I've been wanting a Red Hood figure for a long time, years now. You know, ever since I watched the anime movie Under the Red Hood and all that, I really wanted a figure of him. And he's one of my favorite DC characters, but there's never usually a ton of good figures of him. There's been the Arkham series DC Collectibles ones, but those ones aren't the easiest to get, and all that, so it's pretty cool to get a 6-inch scale new Red Hood figure. Unfortunately, this guy is not perfect. He's got a big flaw, which we'll get into, but it's not all that bad. Taking a closer look at him, he's really cool. He's very comic book stylized, the design of this figure, which I don't mind. I think it looks pretty cool. But it is very comic book style, with a lot of smoothness to the sculpt and all that. You have the helmet here, which looks really good. It's in like this candy red sort of shiny color, which is really cool. You got this nice molded detail, which I think I'm going to go over with Gundam marker, paint a line that and make it look even better. But there's that, and you've got the white eyes with the black around it, and it's sculpted and painted really nicely. You have the jacket. The actual vest plastic part of the jacket is quite pliable, so it doesn't really hinder too much articulation. Underneath you have his body armor, which is basically just in this bluish gray. You got the red bat logo printed and painted on there really nicely, and these black lines are also painted really crisply as well, which is really cool. And you've got the sleeves of the jacket, which are rolled up a bit, looks good, and you got the gloves with the knuckles painted silver, which is pretty cool. And you got the belt here, which is pretty simple. We got some silver paint for the buckles. One of the big flaws is he has holsters for guns, but you cannot remove the guns. The guns are just molded into the sculpt of the holsters. You can't remove them. You can't hold them or anything, which is really, really annoying. I hate it when figure companies do this with their figures. And once more, you might as well cover it now. This figure comes with no guns that he can hold. This is a character that his whole arsenal is firearms, throwing knives, throwing shurikens, daggers, and all that sort of stuff. And he does not come with a single weapon. And we'll get more into that when I touch up on the accessories, but that's the biggest flaw of this figure. He comes with no weapons. But you got the pants here, looking good. You got the shin armor and the silver paint, which looks pretty good, and the boots look really good as well. You got pickles on the feet, and the treads are sculpted on the edges there. Back the figure real quick, and overall looks pretty good. You know, as the action figure, we're disregarding the lack of accessories. This is a really solid looking Red Hood figure, 100%. In terms of articulation, he has this weird sort of ball joint head that I guess Multiverse figures use. It has somewhat of a hinge to look up and a little bit down, a little bit up, and you got rotation, not really any pivot. Ball hinge of the shoulders have decent movement. So we'll cut the thigh. Single hinge elbows that move 9 degrees. That's not too bad, though I would have liked to see double hinges. And then you got the rotation and hinge in and out. You got an ab crunch, which moves pretty good. Swivel at the waist, moves good. Hips spread really well. Kick out really well. Swivel cut the thighs good. Double hinge in the knees moves pretty good. Hinges at the ankle move quite well. And he has rockers, which move alright. So you got pretty good articulation on this guy for the most part. One thing you'll notice is you can't get his arms fully straight down, but you can get them pretty close where it doesn't bother me too much. Yeah, it's pretty well articulated. You can get a lot of great poses out of him. So now we will talk about accessories. Like I said, this is the biggest letdown with this figure. First off, he does come with the Collect and Connect right leg of Killer Croc here, which as you can see is almost as tall as him. This is actually a pretty big build-a-figure piece or Collect and Connect piece. I am more than likely not going to build this bath because I don't want to get the whole wave, but yeah, this Killer Croc figure seems like he might be pretty good. Comes with a plethora of hands. As you can see, he does have the bald fist on him right now. You also get 2 gripping hands for gripping accessories he doesn't come with. And the biggest meme of this figure, he comes with 2 trigger finger hands. He comes with 2 trigger finger hands, like they fully intended to give this figure guns and then didn't do it. That's the biggest thing. It's nice you still get them because, like I'm going to be taking guns probably off of my Marvel Legends that don't really need to be used, displayed with them or whatever, and giving it to this figure. But that's a really big, it's really annoying. But it is awesome. He comes with a decent amount of hands. That is pretty cool. You usually don't get this many hands with like other Marvel Legends and all that. But, I mean, you give us trigger finger hands and don't give us any sort of guns. Even if you just gave us 2 pistols, I would have been fine. The weapons that should have came with this figure is 2 handguns that with working holsters and a knife that could be sheathed on the back of the belt or something. And that's all they would have had to have included to make me satisfied with the accessories with this figure. But anyways, that's the hands. And then the last accessory comes with is an alternate unmasked head sculpt, or somewhat unmasked. Unhelmeted, he still has a little mask on of Jason Todd, which is pretty cool. Swapping the head's pretty easy, pops off pretty easily. I can see there, you can get a look at that joint there. It's kind of weird, but it works enough. And you get Jason Todd's head there, and there you go. That also looks really good. The sculpt of the Jason Todd head also looks quite good. One thing, it might be hard to pick up on camera, but they actually put this slight blue wash through the hair to really sort of bring out the details and whatnot and make it look like the comic book, which is really cool. The mask is cleanly painted on his face. The expression, pretty stoic, but looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. And lastly, I will do some comparisons real quick. Here is one of the only other Multiverse figures I have, which is the DC Multiverse Black Manta from the Aquaman movie. So they're definitely in scale with each other. Manta's slightly taller and bigger because he's wearing a full suit of armor and has a big ass helmet. That's pretty cool. And then with the Marvel Legends, your average 6-inch scale Marvel Legends. Here on the Bucky Cat mold, here is Deadpool. And I think that's a good scale. Jason Todd's actually slightly taller than the Bucky Cat molds, which is kind of cool, but they still scale in quite well together, so that's pretty cool. So overall, this figure is pretty good. This is a pretty solid Red Hood figure. This is my favorite look for Red Hood. The bodysuit with the red bat logo and the biker jacket and the helmet that looks like that. This is my favorite look. It's how he looks the most in under the Red Hood. I like that you get an extra head sculpt. That's really awesome, and all the hands is really appreciated. But we really needed some guns, some weapons for this, for a character whose main weaponry is firearms and knives and stuff like that. He should have came with at least a knife and 2 handguns that could come out of his holsters and he could hold. And now if they did that, this would be an extremely good figure. But because they didn't, it's just good. The figure itself is really good. The articulation's pretty good. It could be a little better, but pretty good. But they just need more accessories. You shouldn't have to go to your other scavenging your other figures to get accessories for another figure that didn't come with them. But anyways, that's about it for my review. I'd say if you're a Red Hood fan, big Red Hood fan like I am, I would recommend picking this up. But if you're not too fond of the character, I wouldn't go out of your way to break your back trying to grab this guy. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next one.